Yes, I'm still here, Hollywood. And coming up on today's episode, he was introduced around the world as a hunky lifeguard, rescuing swimmers from the pounding surf of the California coast. Then, that Golden State life steered him to something much bigger. Since his last visit in our yellow chair, he's helped rescue hundreds of animals displaced by the Los Angeles fires, discovering a new mission that has nothing to do with fame and everything to do with compassion. And just when you thought that chapter was enough, another one opened with the return of one of the world's most popular TV series. This is Still Here Hollywood. I'm Steve Kmetko. Join me with today's guest from Baywatch, actor David Chokachi. David, thanks for coming back in.
Thank you so much for having me, Steve.
We're not going to focus as much about your career this time, but we want to talk about your vocation, I guess you'd call it.
Okay.
Rescuing dogs.
Sure, I'd love it.
Where were you when you first, and a lot of them from the fire-damaged area here in L.A., where were you when you first realized the fires were more than they normally are, that they wasn't just another California wildfire?
I think it was pretty quickly, because I had my wife and daughter leave Point Doom area. I stayed up there, and I have a lot of friends. Since now we can talk about this, the fire brigade. I'm a member of, but I wasn't at the time. And one thing that's really hard up there where we're at is you're cut off. Like there's no communication. You have no idea what's happening, what's coming. I mean, even any place you go for information, it's either wrong or it's old. So I was like, I have to do something about this, and I wanted to join this brigade. Eventually got in, and we've been training, and now I've been a part of it for almost a year. But I stayed, and it was apocalyptic, Steve. It was crazy because so we had no cell phone, no Wi-Fi, no gas, no electricity, and then the majority of Point Doom, everybody's generator is run on natural gas, and they cut that because they thought it was all going to burn up and explode. So it was black, like pitch black. And then we had looters, like in the middle of the night, like just around midnight or 1, and we'd go around, and like my buddy and I in this golf cart, and just see them pulled over. And it's illegal to be in a mandatory evacuated zone. Like if you don't live there, you can choose to stay, but you cannot be there if you don't live in that area. And they're just waiting. And so we would bust dudes. We bust one guy. He's like, he had like Utah plates. We're like, what are you doing, man? And we looked like Navy SEALs, dude. I had like my dog, who was not a friendly looking dog, even though he's just a bear. And then like we just had we're just gnarly looking. And the guy started stuttering. He's like, I'm looking for coyotes. We're like, get the F out of here, dude. I mean, that was disgusting. Like, that's the lowest of the low when you're robbing people when they're, everybody's gone. So their homes, the doors are open. The driveways have to stay open for the fire trucks, the gates. So it's, they're all easy targets. So there are a bunch of dudes who live in that, who are pretty hardcore locals. And they called in some boys who were sitting and waiting in vans. And I was like, my buddy across the street was like, David, don't worry. I got some guys. They're in a van at the top of the hill. You're good.
I know people.
Yeah. But as far as the dogs, ever since I realized really early on, Steve, as an actor, I got on the show on Baywatch originally, and that I had a voice, I had a platform in a sense, and you could choose to do whatever you want with that voice. You could do good, you could talk about stupid crap, or you could do nothing, or you could eat spaghetti on TikTok. And I was like, I've always had a real deep affinity for dogs my whole life. And in all honesty, I'd rather be with dogs than most humans. It's just, they're just incredible creatures. And if we took a step back as human race and studied how they act and behave every day, I think everybody would start to formulate, like, a dog wakes up, it's happy. It goes to bed happy. It's the simplest thing. Like, we wake up and we go right to a negative default setting in our brain. It's great. Like, we have to fight out of that. Like, it's... So I got involved with Best Friends Animal Society in 2000, and they do a lot. And they had a big pet adoption down La Brea, and they said, hey, would you come walk dogs down the stage? These are all dogs that are going to be euthanized the next day unless we can sell them to the crowd. So I met them then, and became kind of an ambassador for them for many years. And then during the Palisades fire, they called and said, hey, would you be willing to go out to Burbank and help load dogs on planes, because we have to move them. We have to get tons of them out of here. And I was like, I wanted to do anything that had action, physicality, and something that was improving the situation. It felt like our world was collapsing at that time. It just was like, we're so effed. Like, it just was like, felt like it was closing in like a dark tunnel. So I went out there, and it's Wings of Rescue is the organization that I'm involved with now. I'm a flight crew leader and also a board member. And I get there, and they had a bunch. So we fly in and out of private airports because we need the rescue vans to drive right up on the tarmac, unload, then we load. And so on the first day, Rick, the CEO, who's probably like 70 at the time, he's like, I need one volunteer to come inside the cargo area and help me load, stack. And I was like, please, bro, I need to burn some energy, and I want to be around dogs. And so I went in. I saw the situation really quickly. I mean, I grew up with great work ethic, and I grew up also construction crew on the East Coast. If you're not fast and on point, they'll just be like, go get a coffee, dude. You're useless right now. Like, come on, like, and so my work ethic that I've always had, and my parents like drilled into us as kids, it's always carried me through life, and I've always applied it, and it seems to get better. I feel like I can outwork anyone, even like now I feel like I'm getting stronger. And so I go in, I could see the situation. It was really hot. It was Burbank. The dogs, I knew it was going to be a long day. They were flying all the way to the East Coast. So it was like speed, efficiency. We had to set cargo netting that I kind of already, I watched like one guy showed me like just one clip. And because of working with your hands so much as in construction, you pretty much, if you don't know it, someone can show you once and you can figure it out the rest. And I just put my head down and was like stacking and like we're talking anything from 20-pound dog to 120-pound dog in their crates. So we have to. Usually these planes are not deluxe. They're just shelled out steel cargo planes, and a lot. So we're going usually stacking 2 on top, so 3 across, then 3 on the top, and you're working at odd angles, and you never want to leave a dog on the tarmac and say we can't fit it. Like we've never done that. We'll take them out of their crates, and I'll have them on my laps before we do that, because that dog's going back to the shelter, and then it's a roll of the dice whether it lives or not. Because what happens during a natural disaster, which most people don't know, is when there's all these displaced dogs. So we're already right before the fires, all the shelters are at capacity. So they're euthanizing just to maintain, whatever they can hold. You add 1,000 dogs onto that number, they're going to kill 1,000 dogs. Unless Wings of Rescue and then rescue groups here, they do the coordinating with other rescues on the East Coast, the Pacific Northwest. And everybody was like, we'll help you, we'll take them. So it was just a matter of, and Wings of Rescue steps in and they do the transport. We do the transport, get them out of here, get them over there. And it was every day. And after the first day, I was like, hour and a half, covered in sweat. I never even looked up. I talked to every dog I pushed. I'm like, it's going to be okay. You're going on to a better life.
Like they can understand you.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I can communicate, Steve. Dogs.
Where were you born and raised?
Plymouth, Massachusetts. Yeah.
Did you know anything about wildfires the way they have them here?
No.
I did not when I moved out here.
No.
Earthquakes, wildfires. No.
Nothing. I mean, I think the worst we had, I went to college up in Maine and Bates. We had ice storms and, northeasters, but like nothing like that we experience here. But I kind of enjoy it. I don't enjoy what happens, but I like helping people or animals. And when situations or when anything goes wrong, I run towards it. I love it. So I finished working with that first plane, covered in sweat. I go to leave, and I'm like, Rick, thank you so much. That's the CEO's name of Wings Rescue. And he's like, yeah, man. And he turns to the people from Best Friends Animal Society. He was like, who was that guy? And they're like, you don't know who that was? And he's like, no. And they're like, that's the guy from Baywatch. And that part's kind of irrelevant, but it was more that he goes, I think he's been, at that moment, he'd been running the Wings of Rescue as a CEO for 12 years. He's like, I've never had a volunteer come into this situation, like kind of absorb it and work as hard as he did in the hour and a half he was here, and also like a true love of dogs. I could hear him talking to him like an insane person. He's like, and they have volunteers doing this all the time who come help load, and then they jump off and take off. And that's how I live, and I operate at kind of full speed ahead. And
well, it sounds like you were the right guy for the right job.
Yeah, I ended up loading 6 more planes, and then a month later he called me out of the blue and he's like, "Hey man, how would you like to be a flight crew member?" Which means wherever the plane's originating, they fly me commercially, or if it's Van Nuys, it's here, and then wherever I end up, they fly me right home. So it's it's one of the most, outside of my daughter, it's the most personally rewarding thing I do. It beats being on a movie set or a TV show. I love being on, and I love that craft, but there's something special when you've been a part of saving 200 dogs' lives. The flight back to LA, I'm just like, I can't even hear. I don't want to deal with one human being. Like I'm at my threshold is maxed. You're happy and sad at the same time. There's all these emotions, and I just have my headphones on, volume 12, and I'm just like zoned out. And it's a beautiful feeling.
Do these dogs have previous owners?
Most of them do, man. Yeah, that's the sad part is they've been surrendered. The most common one is, I was over helping a dog in Agora, and the family pulls in, and they ask, "Why are you surrendering your dog?" My husband, we had the dog 5 years. He developed an allergy to its fur. We can't keep it. And then also everybody got dogs during COVID. Guess what? COVID ends. We can't do this dog. We go to work, and what people don't know is when you surrender your dog to any shelter, anywhere, especially California, Texas, Florida, I'd say there's a less than a 50% chance that the dog will live. Not only that, it is straight up torture because in these shelter environments, the dogs bark 22 hours a day. So it's like what we do to terrorists, basically, with loud music. And so that's why you see these videos of dogs. They're just shaking and they're shut down and I walk through so many of these places, and it's like the interior volume is, for 5 minutes, it will drive you, like you'll have a banging headache. And it's just not a place for a dog to live any part of its short life on this planet.
How often do you want to claim the dog for your own?
Yeah, I've been really close, probably 3 times. But since we already have 2 who are a little bit, one is she's kind of a pit mix, and the other one's 3. She's 1. They're a handful. And but there was this one dog. We were flying to the East Coast. We landed in New Hampshire. I ran inside. They were getting fuel, and the pilot comes in. He's like, "David, come here. We got a situation with the dog. I don't want to deal with it." I'm like, "Yeah, dude, I got it." I climb in the back hatch, and there's like this 80-pound Pyrenees mix. He had chewed through his crate, so there's a huge hole in it, and then he's in this gap, but there's all these crates in between me and him, and I'm like, "How am I gonna get you, dude?" And he just came, he wiggled like all the way to me with this kind of smile on his face. I picked him up, I carried him down like a 6-foot ladder, and then carried him up to the front hatch, and I laid him on the floor when we flew him up to Maine. And it was such a cool moment. His name was Cody. And all he wanted, Steve, all these dogs they want human connection. They want human touch. I've never experienced anything like it. He's not chewing through his crate because he's stressed. He just wants to be next to a human. It's unbelievable. And once he and I were in contact, he's calmed down. He fell asleep. And then I fell asleep, and the woman from Wings of Rescue, she has this great video of both of us sleeping, and we're on the bottom of this freezing plane, and it was just beautiful. And I followed his story because he had separation anxiety, so he got adopted and returned 3 times. And I was like, my fear is because of the environment we live in LA, it's always, if a dog gets surrendered, these are like marks on, it's like a felony almost on their record. So if a dog gets surrendered in LA 3 times, it's going to bump up to the top of the list when it comes to, well, we got to euthanize 10 dogs. Well, that dog's been surrendered 3 times. That's got to be a problem dog. Let's pick him, which is so not fair because it's usually the humans, a lot of times an elderly couple will decide, oh, we want this 80-pound fluffy dog. It's going to be fun. And they can't control it. They have no dog experience. Back it goes. So I followed his story, and actually the sanctuary in Maine, it's in Bowdoin, Maine. It's called Minnie's Sanctuary. And she was a little David, don't worry. Listen, it's not like California. We would never kill dogs here. She said the worst case scenario, he'll live out his life on our sanctuary with our family, and he's living a great life. And then cut to maybe 4 months ago, we'd done another flight back up to Maine, and she was there. And they go, look at this. And they showed me a video, and Cody had found his match. It was a woman who lived by herself. She didn't like to leave the house too much. She was home. She's in her kitchen with her camera phone videotaping. He's doing like rolls in the snow, and he is like happier than can be. So seeing the actual, the full circle, it just, man, I usually get super emotional and like start bawling.
I have a little terrier mix that I rescued, and all I have to do is go out the front door to get the mail, and I'll hear her behind the door whimpering.
It breaks your heart, right?
Yes, it does. It does.
Yeah.
How have those rescues changed the way you see people?
I have in a number of ways. I mean, I guess the dog rescue world itself is it could possibly be as messed up as like the Hollywood business. It's like there's amazing people, and then there's a lot of shady people who are saying they're rescues, and then they'll take dogs, they'll pull them from a shelter, and they'll do some horrific things to them, or they'll take 12 dogs and say, start a GoFundMe page, and they'll be driving around in a fancy car, and the dogs are locked up in a chicken coop and something like. So there's that side, but the people who are like the Wings of Rescue, they don't even have a brick and mortar. They're donation based only, so they pay for the fuel and the pilots. So we have planes going, usually 3 planes on the weekend and 1 or 2 during the week. And a lot of times also, and they're also the only organization that during a natural disaster, obviously LA didn't need it, but for example, like the Texas floods, that horrible event with the girls, they were flying down, and they were flying down humanitarian aid, veterinarian medical supplies, and then dog food, cat food. So every plane that went in was full of basically everything that people needed, which is amazing because they were desperate for all kinds of things. So they're the only group that goes into active natural disasters, and they'll like Hurricane, I think Maria, is that the one that hit Puerto Rico?
I don't remember the names anymore.
Yeah, so when these big hurricanes hit, they'll just go. They'll set up shop, and they will just fly every day, once a day. They'll fly the dogs from the island. They'll get them to Florida, and then they fly them up the East Coast. And the one upside of natural disasters is people will want to adopt a dog if it was a victim of a natural disaster and displaced over a regular shelter dog that's just being transported out, so they can, I guess, say like, hey, this is one of the dogs from the fires in the Palisades that got displaced, and it doesn't matter. Actually, you know what? I don't even care as long as you're going to give it a good life. It's amazing. It's a real human problem, Steve. It's the system is so broken.
Do you think we should be spaying and neutering?
Oh yeah, that's the number one. That's where it begins and ends. Basically, if we can get that under control, we could possibly. It's a tidal wave like everybody's up against, and the problem is there's breeders and there's people. Also, the cost of, for example, the VCAs around here that
yes, right.
They got bought up by M&M's Corporation. So even if you adopt from a rescue, you usually get a discount for the neuter or spay, which would be like $200, $300. Since M&M's Corporation bought all of them, the spay neuter cost went up to $800, $900 for a dog. So you can only imagine. So many people are like, we can't afford that. So all the groups are trying to fill that gap and try and find ways. Wings of Rescue has a thing called Operation Pit Stop, where they go in and they bring a couple vets and they will just spay neuter all day in random places all over the country. And that's the number one source. That's the only way to stop this is get that under control.
A lot of people don't understand that getting a dog is a real commitment.
It is, and they just I some of the people from Wings work at the Humane Society of the North Dallas Humane Society, and it's one of the best run shelters I've seen. I mean, it's in the hood, but it's amazing what they do down there. And I hear she's also on the animal cruelty side too, and I hear the most horrific stuff. I would be in jail. If they sent me to one person's home that did some of the stuff I've heard, I'd be in jail for life, because I can't. If I see it, I'm gonna have problems with someone, very serious problems, like just any kind of animal abuse. We recently went down to Skid Row. Myself, another actor named Jesse Cove, and the other guys. Jesse I brought into Wings of Rescue. I don't know if do you know who he is, Martin Cove's son.
Oh, no.
He's awesome, man. Oh, you got to have him on. He's like a younger version of me, one of the nicest human beings on the planet. We met on a movie. We bonded over dogs. Our scene work was like 10 times better, because we had to do a scene right away where we showed like history of Secret Service, like that I had mentored him. And as soon as we had walked in, we had like 15 minutes to hang out, and we talked about dogs all the time. We didn't run our lines. And then we went to set to shoot the scene that had to show that, we had been together for years. And because we had we dropped in on this deeper connection and love of dogs, we shot this scene, and it looks like we've known each other forever. It was awesome. It was so cool.
Nobody was saying, line.
No. We were just like this. We were locked in. And so it's, he's been amazing. And then the other guy, Nathan the cat lady, is he's kind of an influencer kind of guy. And
Nathan the cat lady?
Yeah, that's his. Yeah.
Okay.
And he's hilarious, man. You gotta check out his stuff. He has a huge following. He travels all over the world and gets dogs out of horrific situations. Cats are his kind of thing, and he makes a living doing it. So I brought Jesse in first, and now Jesse's actually flying like I am, because they need the help, and Nathan's also flying. I'll fly by myself now if we can't fit two people, or Jesse and I will fly together, because they're Wings of Rescue. These people are like, I mean, I don't even know how they do it. It's nonstop, and we do these flights, Steve. So like, there's a flight on Friday night. I would be on it, and it's out of Van Nuys, and it goes to the East Coast. And the plane only goes 290 knots, which is almost half the speed of commercial. So East Coast is like 7 hours at least.
Wow. And
we have to stop somewhere like Nebraska and refuel. So we usually load at like 11, take off at midnight. You fly through the night, and then you're dropping dogs in 3 states, from anywhere from DC to Maine to Buffalo. And then as soon as you're done unloading at the third drop, I'm sprinting to an airport, whatever, and getting back. But it's usually I'm back in Malibu in 25 hours, like no sleep, and you're just on adrenaline. You can sleep once you get back onto a commercial plane, but it's really hard to sleep on this plane. Like, and once the sun comes up, I take out like the little dog. I'll find puppies when we're loading and put them in the front. And I'll take them out, and I put my camera on a little thing and a little grip stick thing, and take videos. And then, so when we land, I'll give that video to the shelter and be like, this is what the puppies are like when they're playing. So you could help, it helps get them adopted. And,
right.
And plus for me, it's like a chance to, I love dogs. It's unbelievable. And it's a chance for me to like just be around dogs that are, and they had, most of these shelter dogs, a lot of them have never had the kind of love or any love whatsoever. So they're like, when they're getting it, they're like, what is this? This is awesome. Oh my God, this person care. Like you see them respond in a matter of like in minutes. It's crazy. But I love it. If it's an adventure, it's full adventure. And being on the board also, I've been able to, so I'm on the new Baywatch at Fox. This is still relate to Wings, but, and I went in for my wardrobe fitting, and all the women in the wardrobe department are all crazy dog lovers, all into rescue.
Are you sure it's the dogs they love?
Yeah, they're just really cool. And then the supervisor walks in, the wardrobe supervisor, and she hears me talking about Wings of Rescue. She's like, I know Wings of Rescue, and I tell her my story. And she goes, would you want to, because in the new version on Baywatch, my character Cody runs the bar on where all the lifeguards kind of come after work, called the Shoreline. And she's like, would you want to wear your, like a Wings of Rescue shirt behind the bar or in one of the scenes? And I was like, are you kidding me? That's like free advertising to like billions of people. Yes, please. Fox cleared it in like 5 days, dude. I was shocked. They were so awesome about it. And I ended up wearing it during this rescue we did, digging a kid out of the sand. But like we also did EPK stuff, and they're like, "Hey, will you wear the Wings of Rescue tank top?" It was a tank top, of course, and they're like, "Put the tank top on," but I don't even care because I'm blasting the Wings of Rescue, like the symbol and logo, and it's getting out there to the world. So it was really cool of Fox. I was like, "You guys are amazing," because I've tried this before with like even Surfrider Foundation or just and usually it's like, well, we'll get back to you, man. We got bigger fish to fry, and or they'll be like, that we just cannot deal with something like that right now, man. So thanks for asking. Thanks for all you do, but like we got a huge show to shoot, and these people at Fox were like, oh no, boom, boom, 5 days, and it was like cleared. And I was like, yes, you guys are amazing.
And we'll be right back. If you'd like to be more involved with us at Still Here Hollywood, you definitely can. Just visit patreon.com/stillherehollywood. You can support us for as little as $3 a month. You can get our episodes a day before they post anywhere else. You can see what guests will be coming up and submit questions for them. You can even tell us what stars you want us to have on as guests. You'll see what goes on before and after the episode, plus exclusive behind-the-scenes info, pics, video, and more. Again, that's patreon.com/stillherehollywood. The Baywatch Reboot.
Yep.
When someone first told you Baywatch was coming back, what was your reaction?
I mean, I'd been pushing for this for probably 10 years. So for every 6 months, I'd write to this one guy that I stay connected with. He teaches junior lifeguards. He teaches my daughter for the first year because he teaches the A group, and they just finished on Friday. He's one of the creators, Greg Bonan. And every 6 months, I'd be like, why aren't we rebooting the show? Like, when it started, when the trend of all the shows from the 90s started pushing out, I was like, what? Why aren't we doing it? And then they just kind of balked. And then for a minute, CBS was looking at it. It got really serious. I went on the location scout with them in Malibu. It was like CBS. It was going to be Baywatch or Magnum PI, and they were leaning towards Baywatch. And then the movie came out with The Rock and Zac Efron, and they were like, "Sorry, we can't. That did not help your franchise whatsoever." Nothing against those guys. The movie is kind of funny. I love them, but it didn't. It kind of didn't do much for the brand. So they had to kind of put a hold on that for 2 years. And then it comes around again, and I hear it, and then I hear the next rumor I hear is no legacy characters, no characters from the original show at all. And I was like, no way, man, I am going to be a part of this show. I swear to God, I was like, there was no stopping me. I was like on a mission, man. But it turns out they all along, they just kept playing their cards so close to the vest, man. Like they would not share that they were 100%. And it turns out, like, one of the greatest things I've learned in the last few years, being of service, whether it's with the dogs or the fire brigade I'm a member of, the community brigade, it's changed me as a human being like 1,000 times over for the better. It's incredible. And I don't do it to get these other gifts that have been dropping on my lap, but as a result, the universe, I swear, has just been like bing, bing. Like, so I went and was helping. It was a food collection during just Thanksgiving in November. So last November, where for LAPD and LA Sheriff's Department putting these big boxes together for all the lower income people who have no food for the holidays. It's a huge circle of people. You just go through and you get a box and you hand it to these younger sheriffs, and then they load it and they drive it down to all these areas and disperse it. And so when I get there, Greg Bonan, the creator's wife, who tells me everything, he won't. He's always like, she's like, Brad, who I'd met the year before at the same food drive, she goes, he's writing on the show. You should go talk to him. I was like, what? Sprint over, act all cool. I'm like, what's up, buddy? I mean, he's a really cool guy. And I didn't geek out or like, I was just like, how's it looking? And then, more importantly, I want to know, how are you, what are the thoughts in terms of, a legacy character coming back, as whether it's a reoccurring or series regular. And once again, you might as well be trying to like get information from a CIA agent. That's how the writers treat. And that's, I respect it. But he was just like, look, let's put it this way, David, this was in November. He goes, it looks really good for you. That's all he could tell me. And I was like, okay. And I couldn't sit back on that. I was like, I'm manifesting this, Steve. I am going to be on that show, and there's nothing. I'm serious. I was like, I was not going to take no, even if they were like, we're not having any legacy characters. I was going to show up at someone's house. I was like, so I cut together a reel just because I wasn't sure. I didn't heard anything. Basically a 2-minute highlight reel of some stuff from the old Baywatch of me just doing really cool rescues, and then where I'm at in my fitness level at like my age right now, and which is I'm in better shape now than when I was 24. Which
I was going to say you've let yourself go.
Because I'm on a mission. I'll tell you what the mission is after. But so I basically cut this reel together and I showed a bunch of like the training I do now, and I got it. And actually, Greg Bonan, the creator. As I asked Brad after we talked, I go, hey, can I give this to you guys? Just, if there's anybody on the fence in terms of a legacy character coming back, just show them this reel. It's proof of concept. He's like, man, I don't think it's a good idea. Greg calls me 2 days later and he goes, did the showrunner call you yet? And I go, no, why? He's like, okay, let me remind him. I tell him about the thing I cut together. He goes, send it to me right now. I send it to him. He gets it into the writer's room. Everybody in the room, including the showrunner, saw it and was like, and then, so what happened next was basically they cast Stephen Amell, who's the lead. He's playing Hobie, which was Hasselhoff's son on the show, grown up. And they were having troubles casting the second person. They knew they could cast me, though, at like a drop of a hat. Like I was a domino ready to fall. And they could not get these other people to say yes or it's one of those things, I've seen this before, where you need to just like bring one more person and then they just start falling in place. And so Greg told him, he's like, we're 3 weeks away from shooting. We have one person cast, offer Chokachi the role. We're going to offer him and watch what happens. And so I get the offer and I was like, yes. Recurring, but a heavily recurring, guaranteed 4 episodes out of 12. We have like 2 or 3 left. I've already done 5 or 6. And then the next day was like the releasing deadline that Fox put out, that saying, which was a major deal. And I was like, man, when I saw the release, I was literally emotional. I was like, I couldn't believe it.
Are you ready for it?
Oh yeah. I've been shooting. We're almost done. The one thing I've been like pushing for is because, so it's a big cast. It's a phenomenal cast, but there's actors, there's influencers who haven't done much in front of the camera, but they do bring us certain, it's a different world we're living in. And I think Fox and Matt Nix and the creative team and Fremantle, I think they're smart in this first season. They're kind of like spreading the cast. Like it's a big cast. I videotaped it in the hair and makeup at the trailer. I think there's 18 of us right now. And I don't think if you put 8 actors into the new Baywatch that are legit actors and have no social media presence, I don't think anybody's going to watch it. So they had to basically adapt and go for half actors, half people who have real presence. We're talking like 35 million followers, like Shay Mitchell and Libby Dunn and Noah Beck, who's like a TikTok guy. And it turns out they're pretty good. I mean, Shay's amazing. She was on Pretty Little Liars, and Noah's good, and Libby's got some work to do, but she's a sweet girl. And then we have Hassie Harrison she was on Yellowstone, who's amazing. She's a phenomenal actress, and Steven's the lead. He's good. He's solid, and but it's like fighting to get your storyline, man. That's been the latest thing.
When are we going to see it on the air?
January 31st will be the premiere, right? So Fox is going to have the NFL championship game. So I'm not sure if that's AFC or NFC. Anyway, it's a Sunday night or Sunday after that big football game. Will be episode 101. And then Monday night will be the normal time at 8 o'clock, episode 102. And then after that, it'll live on Hulu. So if you didn't see it on Fox, you can watch it on Hulu anytime. And the cool thing, what they've done, which again I give respect or credit to Matt Nix and the group, they were from the outset. They were like, we are not changing the DNA, the heart and soul of Baywatch. This is not a reboot, a retooling, or anything like that. They're treating it like just a straight continuation, a jump in time from 1999, not even including the 2 years in Hawaii, to 2026, and basically everything that happened back then, it happened in our storyline going forward, and they kept all the best parts of Baywatch that I was involved in. They kept. They were able to remove some of the stuff, the cheesier stuff that we had to deal with, like the electric eel in a cave.
Will there be flashbacks?
They were going to, and they don't want to spend time. They don't want to spend story time on it. They were going to do a whole thing about Hasselhoff, and because this character, I don't want to say, but I think they're going to stay away from that idea because they want the audience to fall in love with this new cast. They don't want to keep going back to that old one. So, but the thing is, like, so we had Mick G. Do you know who he is?
No.
Mick G directed the Charlie's Angels movie, the remake with Cameron Diaz. He is phenomenal, man. So what he does is he messes with frame rate. Okay, so all we could do back in the 90s was go to normal speed or slow motion, and I saw an episode, my daughter's finally watching the show after she's 14, because Greg was like, you got to watch some of the Baywatch. So we're watching it, and I see this scene. We're just going back and forth to the truck getting medical equipment, and it's in slow motion. I'm like, oh my God, you guys, this is why we're in slow motion there. But so Mick G, I saw a clip of Shay Mitchell, who's okay athletic, but we're not talking Alexander Paul athletic. She's just jumping off the lifeguard tower. It's kind of one of those opening shots, and she kind of lands in a cool landing, but he starts in normal, then he ramps the film speed. So it almost goes into that Superman mode, and then when she hits the ground, it's like almost as when Superman lands on Earth, like went boom, and then she blasts out kind of high speed, then normal speed, and then out. And I was like, oh my God, dude, you are on to something. If you're implementing that in rescues and everything, it's going to be super fun to watch. And he was like, I mean, talk about someone who loves the process. After every take, he comes running in. That was awesome, you guys. Okay, tighten that up. You do this, you do that. Let's go again. And that enthusiasm radiated out to every single person in the cast, the crew. Everybody was smiling. And then when he left, because he only did the pilot, everybody's like, no, please stay, man. But he's an EP on it, so he does have a voice, and I just hope he's overseeing, continuing that edit kind of stylized filmmaking.
Erica Eleniak, who's been on with us, she's coming back for a little bit too, I saw.
She's there for one episode, and so they're under a tremendous amount of pressure. Everybody wants this to work because nobody wants to be a network or a studio that dropped the ball on Baywatch, which already has a built-in IP, which is currently airing in like 270 countries. Like, it never stopped. So imagine that. So since I was on in 1995, I have been airing in repeats around the world for her 30 years. So that exists, and so they're being handed like this golden nugget, and if they aren't able to deliver a show that works in today's age and can draw an audience, then it's not a good look for anybody. There's not a lot of jobs in LA.
There's a lot riding on it.
Yeah, and there's a lot riding on it. So we just got to get to season 2. If we get to season 2, it'll smooth out. There'll be more. We'll get more money in terms of budget, which would help everything. So. But she came back, and then they had Michael Bergen and Kelly Packard came back for a day with me, which was a day at the beach where it was like a 911 day, like where Hobie calls me.
Pun intended?
Basically.
A day at the beach?
A day at the beach where there's too many people in the water. They can't keep up with the rescues. They call us basically. We show up in our civilian clothes and start making rescues. But it was so fun having those guys back. And it's like the day after the deadline, the announcement came out, Steven and myself and Mick G and Matt Nix went and attended this huge press junket down in Marina Del Rey when they did that open casting. And we were on the top floor of the Marina Hotel, that hotel there, and walk in. It's like press from every outlet you can imagine. It's all Baywatch set deck. It was awesome. The media went absolutely crazy for I thought I'd be like an afterthought because you have Mick G, you have Stephen Amell, I thought I'd kind of be like, hey, can I get an interview? But I was there like an hour and a half longer than everybody because they loved the idea of the legacy character, like the connective tissue, the fact my journey back, all the things I do outside of acting. There were people waiting and like 5, I don't even know who they were, but the woman's like, we really need you to stay. These people have like waited 2 hours. They want an interview before, like, can you stick it out? And I was like, yeah, of course. I'd love this. Like, I'm so happy to be here. So grateful. And the fact that the press responded so strongly, like, so every article that's come out has led with like, Fox makes the smart decision casting legacy character and Stephen Amell. So I got a ton of press. It's just, it's up to the business is so brutal right now, man.
Television is a visual medium.
Yeah.
You're not hard to look at. In fact, the last time you were on, we got so many comments.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that's good. Yeah. And I've been on a mission because, on the first show when I got on, I realized really quickly, because they only guarantee, I had a 5-year contract, but they guaranteed me 7 out of 22 with the possibility of doing all 22 if they like you. So one thing I could control is my fitness and how much I work with my acting coach and the work I put in outside of it. And I just went deep on the original, and my fitness was crazy, and it ended up, the audience responded, the producers responded, the writers. I ended up doing 19 out of 22 my first year. They let me pick Pam or Yasmin as who would you want to be your girlfriend. End up in People's Most 50 Beautiful Thing, like all that, because I just had work ethic and I grinded like shooting at the beach. And everybody thinks it's a cakewalk. 12 hours at the beach. The last thing you want to do is go to the gym. I swear to you, you're so beat down, and then go work with your acting coach, because it's like mental. You're just blasted, man. But I would do it because I saw like my fitness just had everybody go look at Chokachi. Oh my God! Like you can kind of like, it's like the quantum physics. You can create your own future if you have that drive, and I had that drive, and I'm doing it right now, and I have been cranking my fitness because I've been waiting for them to put me into a huge rescue situation. And I've had a couple rescues, and we're getting towards the last 3 episodes, and I'm like, Matt, where's my big day?
Where's my rescue?
So it's coming though. It's actually, we just set it up. We shot the beginning of it, how it starts on Friday and last week. And, so my fitness, I crank like I do two workouts a day. I get up at like 3:30 in the morning. I go all day. I'm like on a mission. Just the mindset, and I've developed a culture and a mindset where I can now push myself beyond like, and it helps with the dogs too, because we don't sleep on those planes. So you're going 30 hours without sleep a lot of time, and so now I get maybe 4 hours, and I get up but I cannot wait to get up. Like I don't even want to go to bed. There's so much I want to do in life. It's the greatest feeling ever.
I think you have some time left.
I hope so. I have a lot I want to check off.
What would Cody Madison be doing today if we met him?
And if he
30 years later,
he would be right where he's at. He'd be at the beach lifeguarding. He would have a daughter. What's funny, Steve? So I wrote a backstory because I was like, if you guys need more, if you need a backstory to help like convince you of like where my character's been, how he ended up back at Baywatch or wherever you want to put me, I wrote this 2-page single-spaced, really articulate story of where my character went. And the story basically was I basically got burnt out of Matt being a lifeguard in LA. I moved to Australia, lifeguarded down there, then kind of dropped it and just surfed for a while, became like just a surfer. Met a woman, we never got married. We had a child. She passes away. I'm with a daughter. I'm not doing so well as like an individual, like trying to carry that weight. I pull it together. This is my backstory that I just created. And I decide I got to go back to where it started. So I go back to Malibu. I take the qualifying test. I become a county lifeguard again and try and raise my daughter. So I handed that to them, and I was like, oh, this kind of looks in Steven's characters is his whole thing is basically my backstory is like they kind of passed it over to him a bit. I mean, in his life, someone has passed away right at the beginning of the show, and he has an older daughter who's walked back into his life that he did not know he had. So they didn't really rip it off, but I wanted to give them the most ammunition that anything they needed, I wanted to have ready. And at every step of the game, I've been doing that. I even did it on this big one that's coming up. I've done a couple things that are unorthodox. My manager and agent were like, "What are you doing, dude?" Because I wanted, they're under a budget. They're just under a heavy budget, like threshold right now, and there's so many actors, and a lot of them are pay or play, so they got to put them in there. And I just said, listen, I will cut my rate. That because for me to go out strong in the season finale and have some real action, I go, if you guarantee me like storyline, action, rescue, water, the things that I am awesome at, as good as any stuntman or that you have out there, I'll do 2 episodes for the price of one. So I sent that to the head of Fremantle and then to Matt, and the woman at Fremantle wrote back and she was like, "Holy ass. Like, your commitment is insane. We'll get right back to you." Because I was initially, they had offered it, but then these budgets like the budget kept getting hacked, and I was like, if I don't go out strong in the finale, it's like it's not a good look. So, and I put it out there. Like I wrote this great letter to Matt, and I said, "Listen, man, this is what I just want you to guarantee me the strong storyline." And sure enough, I got it. So I gave them a deal, and they're giving me a deal, and because screen time is gold right now, and you want to. I want the audience, I want the network, I want Fremantle to see what I can do when it comes time to, I don't know. Once again, I said, well, how dynamic are these rescues going to be? I wasn't doubled once on the original show because they saw my athleticism. I grew up teaching sailing. I was on boats my entire life. So I knew precision driving of all watercraft, wave runners, certified scuba diver, on a swim team. So once they saw my skills in real time, they were like, dude, you do it all. I'm just trying to go the distance, man. To have this opportunity, it's like having lightning strike twice in this town. It's almost impossible. Mm-hmm. And just by being associated with the show, it's upped my everything has jumped. Podcasts that said no to me, like before the show, are banging on my door. Like, would you come do this? Please come do our podcast, or whatever it is. Movie offers. I can ask for more money. It's just because it's so hard to elevate or level up in town right now. It's really, really difficult. And so just by being on this show, I have leveled up, but I want to make an impact because I know, and I told him, I'm like, straight up, listen, I can personally help you get season 2. Just put me in, coach.
Back with more in a moment. How did you meet your wife?
We met on
dry land?
We did. I had a movie in Sundance, and I forget it was called Psycho Beach Party. They were going to fly me out, but not put us up. So my manager and he knew my wife, and they had a ski house in Park City, and we were staying with them. Their parents weren't there. Obviously, it was her name's Susan and her friend, and so we got there early, a couple days early. She's a really good skier. I'm a really good skier. My manager kind of not a good skier. He was in the dust. Her and I were like, it's one of those moments when you just like nature when you're both really good at a sport that's kind of difficult. And it dumped a lot of powder. We were like, and had this. I was like, oh my god, this she's from the Midwest. She doesn't wear makeup. She's beautiful. Like that's my jam right there. And then cut to. She was living in New York City. She was working for Gucci at the time, so she was heading back the morning after my movie, and my movie was at like 11 p.m. And I showed up like maybe 5 or 10 minutes late to the premiere, and they gave my tickets away. Like my manager and I show up, and they're like, "Dude, we gave your tickets away. We didn't think you were coming." I'm like, "What?" I opened Psycho Beach Party. If you've never seen it, you got to watch the opening. It's incredible. Like it's black and white. It's Eddie and the Cruisers. I come in on this old motorcycle. My hair's slicked. And it's just awesome. And then you pull back and you realize that these people are in a drive-in watching me. I'm an actor up on a drive-in theater. But because I didn't get in, that was the night we called them right away. I'm like, "What are you guys doing?" And like the bowling alley happened to still be open, so we went down there. We drank a bunch of beers and came back. Her and I were playing backgammon, and she ended up extending her trip. So the only reason we're together is because I didn't get into the movie. She would have gone back to her life. I would have gone back to LA, and it was like sliding doors. It's crazy.
How did you end up back here?
I I was always here, but she eventually moved here from New York and convinced Gucci she could operate out of here, and she did for a long time. And then we had to go live in New York City for a while. But yeah, it was an interesting story, man.
Do you think social media has made fame healthier or more dangerous?
I mean, much more dangerous. It's people. I hear people, especially younger adults, or like you ask them, why do you want to become an actor? Or they once they say, and they just say, I want to be famous. I want to be famous. And like, why do you want to be famous? So I can get this, and this, and like, it's all the wrong answers. It's all, so they see what they are seeing is
A mirage.
As a mirage. It's complete. It might as well be an AI like it is now anyway. Like half the Instagram things are AI. Like, that side of social media is brutal. The upside is, without it, for us, for the dogs, we couldn't get like a tenth of these dogs adopted. We couldn't raise money. There's no way. So there's really good and there's really bad. And then also, I saw one of the actors. He was on Band of Brothers, and he was talking about this very thing. And he's like, because I don't have a social media following, he's like, and he's an incredible actor. I forget his name. He's superb. He basically, I think I don't know if he lost his house, but he just hasn't worked. And then when I heard how they've been casting this show, I mean, it's pure, like, they're looking at your numbers on Instagram, how many followers you have. Like, it's not what you have done as an actor. Like, it takes years to develop this craft. Like to show up on a set with a crew of 100 and 3 cameras pointed at you and hit marks and stay in focus, and people have no idea what it takes.
And remember your lines.
Yeah, and be like this, be very chill. You can't, like, you don't have time to be nervous, because they'll be like, what's wrong? Why are you nervous? It's not something that, I think maybe the rare person can show up and be that comfortable. And I feel like, honestly, it's taken me 30. I've done great work, like Witchblade, and some of the Baywatch episodes were even good. Witchblade, the writing was so good. I really felt like I crushed some of that stuff. But my life's journey, which we don't have time for, but where I've gotten to in life, I'm doing the last year and a half the best work I've ever done as an actor in my entire life, and I feel so comfortable in the space. I control like everything around me. I don't fear anything. If I see something wrong, or if I hear something I disagree with, I say something. I'm not going to get run over by people. I'm not going to cause trouble, but I'm not going to get steamrolled by anybody who has less time than me.
Is your shooting schedule going to allow you to continue working with dogs?
Yeah, it has. Yeah. The good thing is I'm a recurring, so if I was number 1 on the call sheet, it probably would be a lot harder, because I think he's in almost every day. So they've written that storyline really heavily because they wanted to show his daughter coming back into his life, and it seems to be absorbing quite a bit of the episodic kind of story arcs, which is fine with me, because in all honesty, my happiness, I mean, I love going down to the Fox lot, and like, I have a blast, man. Like, we have a weight room right behind the bar that's a set. It's like banging. It's got everything in it, recovery boots, weights. I was just posted about this. So in between, it takes 20 minutes to move the cameras, right? I'm in there either stretching or banging weights, and it's awesome, man. And I feel like, a kid in the candy store.
Since last time you were here, have you had any contact with Pam Anderson or Yasmin Bleeth?
No, they actually wrote a role for Pam in the pilot. She did
not interested.
No, she won't even. She doesn't talk about the show at all. Like, if you watch interviews with her now, you won't hear it. Doesn't get mentioned once. So I'm sure pre-interview is, do not bring up Baywatch or I'm walking off, which I don't understand that. But
okay.
I'm very happy for her and all her success.
What's something you've stopped worrying about as you get older?
Making a fool of myself, failing, getting it wrong.
Same thing as when you were younger, right?
Yeah. Well, I used to put a lot of pressure on myself when I was younger. And I really wanted to succeed and climb the levels of this business, and it was unhealthy. You're young, you just want more and more and more. Like, not that I wanted more money, but I just wanted better projects. I'm happy. Like I don't even care, Steve. I've done some. It was called Alien Predator Wasteland. I mean, the movie was not good. And the director would admit it. But there was a character, I was playing an 1800s tyrannical warlord. I convinced them at the last, they wouldn't let me, gave myself my own mohawk at 6 p.m. because the studio people would not sign off on it until I sent them all these reasons why I should have one. Because I did my wardrobe fitting with like my hair like kind of like this, and I looked at I'm like, I look like Malibu Ken in this friggin' 1800s tyrannical outfit. I can't do that. I can't. I was like, I need a scar, and I'm putting a mohawk in my head. So finally at 6 p.m. they put a star next to like one of my I did just ChatGPT research the whole thing because I had no time to do it for real, and it was true. It shows, it shows someone amongst a tribe who's probably the most savage. And that was my guy. So I went outside. I'd kind of learned how to do it. I watched my guy do these 5 fades on me. When I filmed the whole thing, and I got it so good. It was like the people are like, dude, there's no way you gave yourself that mohawk. Because getting behind, like I'm like stretching my eyeball trying to make sure, but I nailed it. And having the mohawk, and they gave me the scar. I dropped into this character, and I went to places. This director I've worked with 3 times. He was like, he goes, I offered you to because I thought you would do a good job with it. What you brought every day was something I never in a million years would expect it. And most people wouldn't, like, they just don't, and they won't cast you because they're like, they don't. I scared people, like the wardrobe people, like they didn't know me. So they were like, that guy, he's insane. Like I just brought a level of absolute, like, unpredictable in the scenes. Luckily, the actress I was working with is a very combat. She's a lot of combat skills and does a lot of stunt work. So I was able to manhandle her like a lot because I had to. And she did, thank God, because if she was a prima donna actress, like it would not, like I have to do some. And it helps sell my character. And she was like, no, bring it. So she helped me. And oh my God, Vanessa, I'm sorry, Vanessa, I can't remember your last name in space. She's awesome. But I want to work because every time I go work, whether it's, a great film or not a good, I learn something new. I'm in front of the camera. I'm working on my craft. And I love where I'm at. Like I think when I was younger, I used to have all this anxiety before a film. I don't know. I can't. Now it's like I cannot wait. I cannot wait to get there and show them what I got and do my thing and just be around a bunch of creative people. So I kind of say yes to almost like everything, as long as it's not something that's like absolutely ridiculous or So because I learned. And I got to show people a side of myself they've never seen in this Predator movie. Like you see it, my voice was different, my manner, everything changed, and it wasn't a conscious shift. That I wasn't planning this stuff. I was just tapping into something very primal that had some stuff that had gone on with an injury, and I was able to release it through this character, and it was awesome. So yeah,
we'll talk more about that next time.
Okay, part 3 of Chokachi.
Hey, that rhymes.
Yeah,
not a bad idea.
You're gonna have to have me back.
Thank you, David. I appreciate it.
Of course, man. I love being here. You're the best.
Still Here Hollywood is a production of the Still Here Network. All things technical run by Justin Zangerly. Theme music by Brian Sanashin. And executive producer is Jim Lichtenstein.